You have covered a lot of ground in Chapter 3. Let's try to look back a little bit before you move ahead then into Chapter 4. And I'd like to give you a little look ahead into what's going to be covered in Chapter 4. Think about everything you've covered in Chapter 3, and it's a lot. All I can say is wow. This was a extraordinarily uh, big chapter. And why was that? Well, one was that uh, we started out with defining pure substances and said, okay, then we introduced phases, and that helped us get into phase change substances. And wow. And it was a lot of new material for you, I think. At least when I was a student, it was all new to me. Phases, I had a fair understanding of the basics, no idea how to use a PV diagram, no idea what a phase change, a vapor dome was. PV diagram I got familiar with in chapters 1 and 2, but the PV diagram with the vapor dome, that was all totally brand new to me. The idea of quality, brand new. Uh, Introduced the idea of internal energy and enthalpy. Now, internal energy, right? So I was learning about internal energy. You didn't come into the class with a real good understanding of internal energy. And then professor threw at me enthalpy. Now let's define enthalpy. I had no idea where we were going on that. It was just sort of plopped down, and it was another property. Didn't have a good feel for what it meant. Uh, we're going to use it later uh, in the course soon. Uh, I learned how to. We learned. You learned. I learned how to use the thermodynamic property tables. I'd never been exposed to anything like that. Okay. And so we started solving homework problems to learn how to use the thermodynamic property tables. And the problems kept getting harder and harder in chapter 3. And that's why I've stamped uh, the sort of summary as hard, right? So it was hard for me. I'm quite sure that it's probably hard material for you as well. It just gets more and more complex because the homework problems start putting it all together. We had to learn how to interpolate. We had a general idea how to interpolate from previous work, but got better at it. And then we talked about ideal gases, ideal gases. And so then there were all of these sort of special properties of ideal gases. And we covered that as we went down through the class. Let's see let's see, ideal gas equation of state. I remembered it from high school, but boy, we really started using it a lot. The relation of, so PV equals MRT, the relationship of pressure, volume, and temperature all rolled into one equation, and learned how to use all that. And then finally, just within the last couple of videos near the end of chapter 3, we introduced the idea of specific heat, and that helps you with ideal gases in determining delta U and delta H. Man, I'll tell you, that is a lot of material, and you ought to be, if you're surviving, which I sure do hope you are, you're gaining some engineering skills that are going to pay off for you. So this has been a big accomplishment for you, and the overarching goal of chapter 3 is evaluating properties no matter what the substance is. And that's kind of a thing to remember. Chapter 3 has helped you. How do I quantify delta U? How do I quantify delta H? How do I work between properties like volume, specific volume, pressure, things like that? The homework problems as we went along helped you put it all together. It's not just it's no longer sort of a recipe homework problem. You're having to read these problems and dissect them and get good at working through the problem with lots of little sub problems within each problem. And so what's the key? So looking ahead, we're going to look ahead to open systems. So chapter 4 is introducing the idea of engineering problems associated with open systems. This is basically, by far and away, this is what I did for the last 30 years of my engineering practice career was working with open systems because of the nature of my role. And so chapter 4 is going to introduce you to get better and better with analyzing open systems. Think back about chapters 1 and 2. Most of those were closed system problems. So now we're moving into open system problems. So what's going to be your key to success? What's going to be your key to performing well in this class? That's what I want you to do is learn, teach yourself how to perform well on quizzes, tests, and exams in this class so you can get a good grade and also be teaching yourself how to become a practicing engineer. So what are my keys to pass on to you? My recommendations for you. Of course, you don't have to do anything I tell you to do, but these are my strong recommendations. Attend each class. You're going to pick something up from each class. Particularly, you're going to pick up cues and clues for what might be on quizzes and tests and exams. So, on the short term, that's an important thing to pick up. But there's other engineering skills that you're going to pick up by attending class, whether you realize it or not. I want to encourage you to continue to ask questions in class respectfully, respectful questions. Don't hesitate to raise your hand. Don't even hesitate to maybe respectfully interrupt your instructor if your instructor or professor's not seeking out questions. It's okay to respectfully say, "Hey, can you slow down a second? I've got a question to ask," because the chances are 95% that if you've got a question, a huge proportion of students in your class have got that same question. So I do want to encourage each of you to ask questions in class. And the other key, another primary key of success in this class is keeping up with your homework rather than putting off homework and just sort of sloppy, just go through the motions of turning something in so you get some credit. Keep up with your homework in terms of teaching yourself how to solve these problems so that you will be able to quickly execute problem solving in quizzes, tests, and the exam. Those are my strong recommendations for success and continued good performance in this class, because it does get harder, because once we get into chapter 4 with open systems, then you start getting the problem of reading problems and say, do I have an open system or a closed system? Because in quizzes and tests, you're not, it doesn't tell you, oh, this is a problem out of chapter 2. Oh, this is a problem out of chapter 4. You get the idea. And so looking ahead to the final exam, immediately you see that in a comprehensive final exam, you've got to be able to read the problem in words and diagnose what you've got. So I will look forward to your visiting the videos as we get into chapter 4. That really is lots and lots of examples of equipment that you find in the real world where you're trying to improve. You're either trying to design some new equipment or you're trying to improve the performance of existing equipment. So hope to see you then.